what comes to spiritual escapism, it's when once one is not fulfilled on an emotional level, one can either resort to trying to compensate that emotional discontentment or unfulfillment through the matter. For example, people go into addictions, binge eating, overeating, kind of pulling the matter into the self because the self feels empty. Or they resort to spirituality, where they try to bring a sense of self through spiritual knowledge. It's called spiritual narcissism, where the self is not restored in its wholesomeness. And again, spirituality, especially its external projected side, becomes the means for one's fulfillment, for one's emotional fulfillment, or the fulfillment of that incomplete, unwholesome self. So that's where the problem arises, because the problem arises from the point that the self is discontent, and is discontent and unfulfilled and addicted because it has empowered, through whatever situations, experiences in our early childhood, through trauma or lack of it or whatever, through the system we're used to live in, that self was pushed to empower everything outside of self, pushed to validate one's sense of self through the projection, through projected reality, pushed to see oneself through the reflection from the projected reality. And that's where all these tendencies of escapism were born, because escapism doesn't mean escaping somewhere to the higher dimension. It's more escaping still to the world of projections, even if it's a projection on a subtle level, like hallucination or dreaming or using some substances to cause this dream, so that again you fulfill yourself temporarily. Oh, I know something, I learned something, okay, it satisfies me for a while. Or someone validated me, okay, it satisfied you for a day or two or a month or a year, but then it goes. Because the problem is unfulfilled self. That's why it is a problem and it's a solution in itself, because that unfulfilled self, sooner or later, because of that discontentment and unfulfillment, will search for fulfillment. And while searching, it will bump into all the modalities of distraction as well, even in the name of spirituality, until that self matures enough to see through the projection and understand that they have to go back into self instead of gliding along the surface within this projected reality and looking for validation, fulfillment, because the truth cannot be found outside of the self. So from that moment on, there is no escapism anymore into the projection, but there is refocusing, where one's consciousness focuses within, shifts the perspective inside, and watches its pain, watches its karmic residue by allowing it to be there and realizing that it has never been about the projected reality, about those people, about those traumatic events, about those people who supposedly hurt and betrayed and did whatnot. But it was all about one's being that has accumulated the karmic misconception about the self through the down cycle. Karmic because it's imprinted on the consciousness, and each time they incarnated, it imprinted, it kind of was revealed through the energy body, subtle body, and it imprinted on their nervous system, or kind of manifested on the nervous system as issues, as undescribable anxiety, restlessness, or this desire to look for something, to explain the reality. In a way, any spiritual quest starts from this karmic fluctuations within oneself. Karmic means because these restlessness, anxiety, this discontentment on the energetic body and the physical body that pushes one to look for solutions. Yes, if we're limited and we're in the limited background, we don't have any spiritual reference point, we look for solutions within the means of our, you know, conscious understanding and the means that are available. We start looking for herbs, maybe how to improve our lifestyle, better diet. Then we see it helps temporarily again, but it doesn't fulfill that emptiness within. Then we start looking for maybe some new theories or concepts, or maybe other religious ideas or spiritual ideas outside of our background. Then we see, okay, it's okay, but practically it doesn't do anything. It just kind of distracts me. It makes my mind escape and imagine, okay, it would be nice to be enlightened, to be this and that. But in factuality, in reality, it doesn't do anything. There's no change. Until that moment when consciousness finally, maybe accidentally even, turns within and stays there and, you know, experiences this sudden absorption, contentment, bliss. Then it discovers, wow. Or maybe because of someone else's presence. Let's say they come across someone, maybe they don't even know who that person is on a deeper level, but this person maybe says something that turns their consciousness within. Maybe it's a saint or a spiritual being disguised as a normal person. You know what I mean? Maybe it's just whoever, but at that point, that being is used as a vehicle to utter certain words that shift that person, that seeker's perspective within. The seeker means is everyone who's looking for the wholesomeness within, for the wholesome sense of self. And they so far have been looking in the wrong places, which means they were looking outside of themselves, in the projected reality. That's why it's called escapism. In whichever name, in the name of you know, spirituality, religiosity, philosophy, even history and archaeology, because again, you're going to the past. You're leaving that present moment, that focus within, and in the name of whatever concept, idea, maybe you're imagining how it was great to live in the past era. It could have been, but you know, so far we are here. And people speak beautifully about the present moment, but the majority do not stay there. They aren't there. That would mean the enlightenment of this humanity if the majority of people were really living by what they preach, meaning they would first master themselves, then they preach. Usually they preach while being half-baked or have not mastered, have not spent that time to refine themselves to arrive to this establishment and alignment, which is called yoga, or which is called, you know, clarity. I don't even want to use this word enlightenment because it's full of all kinds of misconceptions around it. Clarity is that enlightenment. Clarity is that understanding. When you see things above the projection, whatever that projection is. And I'm not saying that any of these things which are available in the projected reality are bad. There's nothing bad or good in this world. Like someone asked me on YouTube, is samsara bad, like the illusion? The illusion is there, it's just like an emanation. Is your hair bad? It's just growing out of you. You know, is your hand bad? It's there. But how are you going to use it? Are you going to use it to kill someone, or you're going to use it to write something, or to compose, or to bless someone? How are you going to use it? So illusion is there. But as long as you're aware of it, you will stay within. You will be present in the present moment. It means you are not in the state of escapism. Once you're outside, it's good for a while when you entertain yourself. But the more you realize what is permanent and what is transitory, the more you stay within, because you realize that that which is within, that the essence of your consciousness, which is within, that is the eternity. That's the connection with the eternal, with the immortal, in comparison with that which is just an emanation. Whatever is of that nature of illusion and emanation is transitory. It needs the core to feed it. And that core is that consciousness, that focus. If the focus is constantly within the projection, you will lose your energy and the body will be depleted and it will die. It is not natural but we have accepted it for natural because that's the case. That's relevant, valid, widely accepted for this time being, because we don't know anything else. There's no reference point. No one has shown otherwise. Those who have experienced something outside of this normally accepted paradigms have left the human realm, meaning they're concealed. They leave it somewhat, or they are not interacting with it too much. And nobody knows who they are truly, because they're like anybody else by appearance. So what I'm trying to say is that as long as we empower anyone or anything, even if somebody is an evolved, enlightened being, the point of these beings, if they're truly of the light, is not to worship them or to consider them, okay, now my focus has to go to their image to feed them. No. The whole point is to refocus, because any truly enlightened and evolved being will not want to create anything around their persona. They will, emanate something that will bring you within. Whatever the teaching, whatever the information, it will always have one and the same end goal, which is focus within, restore your wholesomeness, contentment, and your power, because these beings, they're connected with an inexhaustible source of energy. They don't need your energy. Demonic beings need your energy. That's why they create movements, they create leaderships, they create this something around one persona and teaching, where the teaching, the external person becomes the focus, the primary focus of attention, where again your conscious power and energy goes to them. No, your primary focus and energy has to go to your own being. That's why true teachings are not about movements or being possessed by an idea, because the value is not in the idea. The value is that knowledge or idea is supposed to put you within. That's the highly spiritual knowledge, the knowledge of higher beings, of the immortals, of those who are still there as a very small, tiny bit in this day and age of higher consciousness in this dimension. They're still represented there, as in this yin-yang sign, right, where in the darkness there is still a dot of light. But they're the minority. This spirituality frequency is not understood because people are used to worshiping everything outside of self, to looking for truth outside of self, and they never find it, and they lose their lives, and they start a new life and continue the same cycle. The point is that the true spiritual knowledge is not about the vessel of the knowledge or the form of the knowledge or the words. It's about the emanation that's supposed to bring you within. This is, by the way, is the highest grace. That's Shaktipat. Shaktipat means you receive that incentive to look within and stay there. That's the point of a highly evolved transmission. It's not about, oh, look, I can do this. I can do these little crazy things with my hands. And now you attract to my body. Oh, look how beautiful I am. Look, you have to pay attention to my words. You have to pay me for my form or for what I'm saying. No. Higher beings don't need your money, don't need your worship. They want you to perceive the knowledge so that you focus within and empower yourself. They don't care about your attention to them. They're fulfilled and content already. Period. So if you choose to delude or to be deluded by the form, by the external wrappers of any knowledge may contain the seed of truth. But the higher frequency of the truth remains or can be perceived when you perceive it within yourself. You cannot perceive it as long as you stay in the projected reality, empowering any element, even be it knowledge or the person who utters these words or emanates, it doesn't matter. The vessel is the vessel. After all, when you have a cup of water, without taking that water inside, you don't care. It may be nice to receive that water in a nice cup, but the cup doesn't matter, whether it's a wooden cup, silver cup, golden cup. The most important is the content. And that's what people have to look for. When they cannot look for content within themselves, they can never find and even register or appreciate the content outside of themselves. That's why they can never appreciate true highly evolved beings. They cannot even recognize them because they have not empowered themselves yet from within. They have not restored that contentment and alignment with a higher frequency to register it first and then to appreciate it or to even notice it in the external reality. Because you can notice, okay, this is a golden cup, but after all, water is water. You know, if you start worshiping the cup, you're lost. There's nothing there. Again, you will start propagating new religions, new movements. No, it's not about new movements or new religions or new anything. Not about new bodies and new preachers or new prophets. It's about the seed of the message, which is emanation of higher frequency. Turn within, awaken, and refine all the karmic residue, contribute to the collective refinement and evolution. That's the payment. That's the higher payment that the higher beings would like to receive. Your evolution, seeing you evolving, seeing you transcending, seeing you healing. That's the highest of all the rewards for any higher being. They don't need your money, your paper, your words of appreciation or anything, or even your hate or whatever you. It's all just a part of this illusion. They are beyond that. They observe the illusion from the high standpoint. They are connected with a higher frequency and bathing in bliss and fulfillment. They are absolutely abundant and rich from top to bottom. They don't need anything. If you can apply this content, this knowledge, the seed of it for your own growth and evolution, that's the highest of all the rewards for the higher realm, because you contribute with your consciousness to the evolution of humanity. Higher realm is not based on self-centeredness, narcissism, and service to self. They're based on service to others, the selflessness, the restoration of the original soul, and the collective sense of higher being. That's it. This should be the moment of awakening. This is the moment of awakening. Because when you listen to this, there's nothing else but to look within. There's nothing else there anymore. And so this is the moment of awakening. You don't need to do anything for that.